I'm taking off my jacket and getting cozy for this interview. You should as well. Tick tock, tick tock. Guess what time it is? It is Horror Vision 2020 time. James Lewis here, as always. Tommy and I are super excited to bring you this next interview because not only are they fellow Michiganders, yes, their movie is #1 in the country. #1. It is literally killing it in the box office. It has raked in over $300,000, and that is incredible because movie theaters aren't even open. But drive-in movie theaters are. And I'm so excited for these guys. They're so deserving of this. They're brilliant filmmakers and they're a force to be reckoned with, and I can't wait to follow them on their journey. I'm excited and you should be excited. And today we have one of the two brothers because the other brother has children, and during this crazy coronavirus pandemic, it is completely understandable, Drew. But today we have the other one, the co-director of The Wretched, Brett Pierce, #1 in the country. Let's do this.
Yeah. Hey man, how you guys doing? I don't know where Drew is. I'm sorry. I think his two little ones probably are having a meltdown, and that's why he's not answering his phone. So
That's okay.
yeah. What you guys doing?
You're Amy,
Let's do
right? You
Yes, I'm Amy.
What's up, man? Welcome to Horror Vision 2020.
Oh, thanks, guys. This is very cool.
I was
stage shirt, by the way.
we had the same idea. Represent part of the state.
Yeah,
Beautiful, man. I'll tell you what, I miss like all the college sports this year, like the March Madness.
yeah,
We'll at least get football, I'm pretty sure.
yeah. It's such a weird time with the sports thing, man. It's like I have so many friends that like you realize like I watch tons of movies and other stuff, but then you have friends that only watch sports and now they have no idea to do with their time. So
Right.
yeah.
right now with
Yep.
the convention scene, because there's so many different conventions that have to shut down. We don't know what to do next, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to it's even weird for Drew and I right now because like it's really cool that the movie's coming out and we've gotten really good management and stuff like that through it, and we're getting to pitch on stuff, but it's like when is anybody gonna make anything actually, you know? So it might be a while. So
It could be.
Soon though, because like we were talking to Tiffany Shepis, and
Yeah.
her husband is a writer.
yeah.
For like Mayans and a bunch of things, and he's working nonstop. They have him working all the time, so that's a good sign.
Yeah. I'll hang on to that in hopes.
Yep. That's cool. So, so IFC Midnight picked up The Wretched.
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome. How did that come about?
It's kind of started with the film festivals. We got into Fantasia Film Festival in Montreal, and that was really big for us because we sold out the big house there, and we got really good reviews, and we got like you know what's funny is whenever you get like a good review in like Variety, and that's what we got, then all of a sudden the phone rings. So so while we were there, CAA kind of hit us up and just said they wanted to represent the movie to try to sell it.
Wow.
And they were the ones that, you know, were shopping it around, and IFC Midnight ended up being a really good home for it. They've actually been awesome. Like everyone always tells all these horror stories about distributors.
Oh yeah, I
But,
got a lot of those.
Oh really? Yeah. But I love them, and I love the people there, and they're so jazzed in a real way, and they help you out, and they're always, I don't know, they've been amazing. So it's like it's night and day from last time. Yes, yeah.
Awesome to hear though, because you rarely hear that.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. As independent filmmakers, I know you're just kind of like they talk to you, and then they get your movie, and then you can't get them to answer the phone.
Oh, never.
Yeah.
So, Jim, you did a self-tape for Deadheads?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I was telling Tommy, I was like, you know, I'm pretty sure Deadheads was like my first self-tape because I couldn't for whatever reason, and then I sent it in. It was like I don't remember if it was on a VHS or a high 8 or what I recorded it on.
Yeah.
But I was like, yeah, and, it was for the role of Mike, which obviously Mike.
Oh
Mike
yeah.
Gold.
It's okay. All you missed out on was doing the audition in the basement of a driving school. So, yeah, I remember, man. That was good. Yeah.
That's a few years ago now, but you know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a scary thought. I was thinking about that movie the other day, and I'm like, it came out in, I think, 2012, but we actually shot it in 2008. So it was like, ooh, 12 years ago.
Yeah, that was just before.
That's the exact same time that my show is 12 years, because that's right before.
Oh, really?
When you call
Yeah.
it, worked out with the cameras or something with Grayson Wild or something.
Oh, yeah. That's so funny.
So how did that come about? First, let's do this.
Okay.
Let's tell me how you got started, because you have a nice long story. You guys do.
Oh, I mean, mostly Drew and I, because our dad was a movie nut and also in the business. He was a special effects artist, and he worked on the first Evil Dead. He was the photographic effects artist on that. And back then, Drew and I was probably 2 or 3. I think Drew was a newborn baby. And him and Tom Sullivan, the other effects artists, kind of piled into my mom's basement in Detroit. And they were asked by Sam Raimi and the guys to kind of give them a kaboom ending for Evil Dead, because the ending, when they shot the movie, they didn't have an ending. It kind of stunk. so they said, we need a super big meltdown sequence. So Tom Sullivan and my dad conceived this meltdown sequence of stop motion animation and gore and all this stuff. But they did it all in our basement, and they brought in cockroaches and snakes and fake body parts and all this stuff into our basement. And I snuck down there as a 2-year-old because I just wanted to know what Dad was doing. And I freaked myself out because the day I snuck down, Dad had invited all the guys over to watch a rough edit of the final sequence. So it was this super gory, hands exploding out of his stomach and gore splattering. And they turned the lights on, and I was just standing there terrified. So it's a weird thing. I was so afraid of my basement till I was 15. I never wanted to go down there. I kind of had this I kind of hated horror movies because in my mind it was that horrific moment replaying over and over again. It was larger than life. So eventually I kind of worked up the courage when I was 12 or 13 to finally start watching Evil Dead 2 and Aliens and all these things. And weirdly enough, Drew and I both got obsessed with horror movies after being scarred by them. And then we just made all these little indie, basically we went to high school and met all these other friends of ours, like Dan Casey and Mark Elliott and Rich Ferrando. They were all filmmakers in their own right. And we made a bunch of cheesy shorts and cheesy, cheapo $1,000 features that we would play at the Main Art Theater in Royal Oak. And that was film school. And then we kind of got to the point where we all kind of looked at each other and just said, hey, we all got to move to California because that's kind of if we want to take the step up. So we all, went from being big fish in a little pond to tadpoles in the biggest ocean in the world. Yeah. So we moved out here and we all got jobs as production assistants and getting people coffee and stuff like that. Which was cool. I mean, we learned a lot because I worked on my first job out here was a production assistant on the movie Hostel. So it was cool. Yeah, I learned a lot from those guys and then jumped around to all these from good to bad productions. But then I kind of got a good job at American Dad, the animated show, which was really cool. And Drew was working at Futurama as an animator. Yeah, he loved it. But we kind of realized we were getting complacent because we were oh, these jobs are good.
Right.
Yeah, they're paying us more and more money. We got to quit and go make Deadheads because we'll never make a movie. Yeah. So we made Deadheads, and Deadheads was a lot of fun. We had a blast making it. I mean, we made it for tiny bit of money. But we did really well with it, festival-wise and distribution-wise.
It's really good. It reminds
It is really good.
of the Dead feel, the heart and the romance, everything.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I love that movie. I mean, I watch it now, and I think it's cheesy, but I love the cheese.
Yeah, that's kind of the charm about it.
Yeah. But so we did that. But it was the thing about independent film. It's we made that movie, and we were totally broke afterwards. And then who's not totally broke after making an indie movie? But so we had to go back and get real jobs again out in Los Angeles, which was a struggle because we met everyone we meet with. They're man, you guys just made a movie. You don't want to work at a movie theater. You don't want to work at Kinko's. You know?
Right. Got a lot.
Yeah.
I've had to lie on my resumes before.
Yeah, you've had to do that? Yeah, I've had to like totally go into places and just pretend I never made a movie or like try and hope they don't like look me up or something. So funny. But yeah, so that was, we kind of like recovered financially for a couple of years and worked on a lot of other movies. Drew did really well. He storyboarded that movie Happy Time Murders for the Jim Henson Company.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and he worked on the Seth Rogen movie, The Interview. He storyboarded that whole movie.
I love that one, the North Korea one.
Yeah. He had a lot of fun doing those, but it was the same thing. I got a job at like a reality TV show company, and it was a great job. And I was like working in the development department, like putting together pitches for new shows for the networks. But it was the same thing. We kind of were getting comfortable again, and we were like, oh, we got to quit and go make The Wretched. So that's what we did. We just kind of raised the money over like a couple of years and, dragged everybody back to northern Michigan up in Traverse City and shot it. So.
Oh, I didn't know you shot it there. That's cool.
Yeah. Well, Drew's in-laws live up there. So he would go there a lot and visit them. And actually it's like one of those things where you're like, there was a marina there that was really beautiful. And his in-laws taught sailing school there. And we just thought the area was pretty. So we were like, let's write the movie around this marina because we could probably use it for not a lot of money, kind of type thing. So yeah. So we got that lined up, and his in-laws helped with wrangling a bunch of kids for our sailing like school stuff. And then we found the other locations like within a couple of miles of that, and it just kind of became us kind of making a witch movie out in the woods. So it's like classic Michigan horror movie making.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love Traverse City and northern Michigan and stuff. Like how did that come? Like, did you get a good deal on a lot of stuff because you're, a Michigan guy?
Yeah, I think because you're like your hometown boys. I mean, Drew and I've been out in California for about 15 years now, but I mean, you still feel like you're from Michigan. It's like people ask me where I'm from, and I still say Detroit all the time. I never think to go like Los Angeles. The first word is Detroit.
Yeah.
So like we did it because you write stories where you grew up. It just kind of makes sense to you. But it was also, we knew that people in Michigan for making Deadheads, like when they know it's like people that are from there originally and the movie takes place in that state, they get excited. They think it's cool, and you can kind of get a lot more than you normally would on a low budget movie. So we got a lot of people helped out, like the city of Northport, which is north of Traverse City. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but they're the ones that had the marina, and they were wonderful. They just pretty much let us use the marina. And we also had to build like a fake cave for our witch monster. And there was an old auto body garage that the city had bought that they were talking about converting into offices eventually, but it was dirty and gross. But they were like, hey, if you guys clean it, you can build the cave in there. So we went and cleaned it and built a cave. So yeah.
Just to shoot there, with evil. Yeah. We had to move all those things for that guy to shoot at that part. He was in some of my movies. So
oh, really? Oh, okay, yeah.
That's why I wrote doing this. I'm like, hey, come on. I make you famous, Jim.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
I think I was out here because I moved out in 12 years in 2008, and I'd worked, on Little Red Devil, Born of Earth, and Evil Offspring. And then I moved out here and I worked on a couple small things, and I fly back to Michigan. And like one of the first movies I worked on after moving to California was Jingles, one of the first.
That movie? Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, all right, cool. I love it.
Crazy. So what have you been doing to keep sane during this time of coronavirus?
Working from home. I mean, it's actually been really, really good for Drew and I, because the movie, with the reviews and the response we got really good managers and agents, and we've been writing stuff, but they've been sending us stuff to read as like ODAs, which is open directors assignments. So we've been reading those, and we've been working with a couple of writers to rewrite scripts that we liked, to get them to a place that we liked with some of those companies. And but all that stuff's great. None of them could happen. You're praying that one of them happens.
but it's good to have balls in the air.
Yeah, that's what we always, our buddy Dan Casey always says, like, just have as many irons in the fire as possible, and that's what we're doing. So
Good. He's been doing good for years now.
he's doing okay. Yeah. I was teasing him about, like, hey, guess what, Dan? Because he wrote Fast and the Furious 9, and I was like, hey, Dan, my movie's gonna come out before your movie. So
But guess what? Your movie will probably profit more than his will, just so you know.
Oh, absolutely.
Margin-wise, probably,
Maybe, who knows? Yeah. I'm so excited to watch that movie because, like, I mean, you guys all know Dan a little bit too from back in the day, but like, it's almost like he's been, like, he made all these like independent, low budget kind of action, grungy crime movies. So it's almost like he's been auditioning to write or direct a Fast and the Furious movie his whole life. So it's like the perfect thing for him to make. I just think I'm so excited to see it because it'll probably be the most Dan Casey thing I've ever seen. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
So what have you canceled because of this? Have you had to shut down production?
Not really, because like we were coming, a lot of what we were dealing with the last couple of months were boring stuff, the deliverables on the movie to IFC and to the international distributors. And we were just writing our own stuff. And because we weren't like technically out yet and didn't have that much press, our management was doing great because there was good pre-buzz and they were sending links around of our movie and getting us meetings and stuff. So we were just taking a lot of meetings, but all those meetings just kind of changed into Zooms and phone calls. So yeah, it's pretty much all this all the time. We've just been kind of like, Drew and I powwowing, and we're working on a werewolf script right now.
Ooh.
Yeah, we're really excited about it. I have no idea how we're gonna pull off the werewolf. No, I'm just kidding. But no, it's a cool. We're really into it. But we've just been working on those, and we've been pitching on some stuff, like some franchise stuff, sometimes multiple times, which is crazy. You're just like, I pitched this like 8 times. How? I'm not sure who I'm supposed to pitch the same thing. Yeah, it's just really fun. But it's going good. I mean, we're just keeping super busy, and hoping that, everybody's healthy and that things get better sooner rather than later. But, it'll work out in the end at some point. So.
Know how hard it is during this time when all this great buzz is going on, but not a lot of money's coming in. And
that's really the trickiest thing. Drew's very lucky in that he's a freelance storyboard artist, and he's repped as one by an agency, so they book him pretty consistently still now because that's a lot of that work still occurring. Right. So he's still working. For me, it's trickier because I kind of just finished doing all the stuff on the movie, and then I was like, oh man, I need a job. and then coronavirus, and it's like, well, there went all the jobs. So, but
people now don't have jobs. So
yeah. But I'm getting by. I'm doing okay so far. It's everyone. I know everybody's dealing with the same thing. You're just trying to weather the storm and get to the other side of things. And so far, okay. So I'm gonna keep my spirits up and keep moving forward with all this stuff. Yeah.
We're doing that's part of the reason we started this before the coronavirus because.
Oh, okay.
We were just excited about it. It was going to be a paid thing, and everybody, because I did run Motor City Nightmares, so I thought, this is tandem. And when this happened, we're like, let's just do it and give it away. We'll just do it and put it up because everyone was expecting all of these different people at Motor City Nightmares, so I'm interviewing them all now.
Oh, that's so funny. That's cool, though. I mean, it's honestly, I think like some of the people that are doing the coolest stuff right now is that they're kind of being innovative and just like providing some sort of entertainment or contact or storytelling this way. It's like, what else can we do?
Exactly.
We were able to interview Steve Wang yesterday.
Oh, wow. That's really cool. Oh, wow.
Because I'm probably going to be going to work with him after this is done.
Oh, that's great.
I'm just production coordinating and stuff with him because I'm not as fine of an artist, but they need somebody. So he is always looking for work if you need a werewolf made.
Oh, man.
So,
Connect them up.
And if you like UFOs or you have anything like that, that's his.
Yeah. That's his jam. I gotcha.
He got into it when we started talking about it. It was pretty cool.
Cool. When are you gonna watch it when we put it up?
Oh, that's cool.
Yep.
And we did Mike Mendez. Yeah, Mike.
Oh, I know Mike. Yeah. Mike's. I've met him out here years ago and stuff. He actually lives like a town over.
I run into him all the time. I go to
really
to the past the horror trivia night. Have you ever been?
Yeah.
I see everyone like it's like a reunion with everyone. I'm like, hey.
Yeah, that's a weird thing out here in LA. It's like the horror crowd, everybody knows each other. It's like this, like you would think like we're all spread out and wouldn't know each other, but it's like you know everybody because everybody all goes to the same stuff, you know. So it just starts being like, oh, there's Joe, stuff like that's funny. It's cool though. It's actually there's just like great community because like one of the most fun things for Drew and I is the film festival thing, and we get to go to a lot of genre fests, and you end up kind of traveling with like a lot of the same people get their same movies in, so you keep seeing each other, and then you see each other in LA. It's really cool, and everybody kind of supports back at each other about each other's films and stuff like that. We all make sure that we're always, you know, pushing each other's movies, and we watch each other's films and give each other feedback in the edits. So I don't know, I love that part of it.
I know I've been to a ton of premieres. People have invited me, and it's amazing because they didn't have those in Michigan.
Yeah. It's like there was like, I don't know. I feel like one of like you guys or us, and there were other people too. Like, you know, once every 6 months or year, there'd be something coming out from somebody, you know. So
yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
Staying in the same horror genre, I kind of asked this question, everybody. Like, what was your biggest influence, like in horror or any film that kind of got you started with? Like, is there a favorite horror film all time for you, or one that inspired you?
Oh, my favorite's John Carpenter's Halloween, which I know sounds boring because it's a lot of people's favorite, you know?
Everybody is, but yeah.
Yeah, I love that movie. It's beautiful to look at. It's so simple that I love how simple it is that like it's a movie about a guy stalking teenagers on Halloween, and it's super scary and it's shot beautifully. And I also love the story behind it because like, I mean, we're independent filmmakers, so I admire anybody that does something for very little. And I think it was made for like $300,000 and shot in like 15 or 16 days in Pasadena. Like nobody expected that movie to be what it was. You know, it was, you know, John Carpenter cut the movie together and didn't have his really great score in it and showed it to a bunch of people. And everyone was like, this is crap. And then he put music in it and got it released, and kind of it was kind of like touring theaters. Like back then they used to like go from one theater to the next and would tour, and nobody really gave a crap about it until Roger Ebert gave it like a really good review and compared it to Psycho, and it completely changed the story of like, from just cheesy, crappy slasher horror movie to like classic Hitchcock tension film, you know? So I just love the fact that he kind of beat all the odds. And I also love that he's kind of grumpy and curmudgeon and just kind of fought his way through. I don't know. There's just the whole story behind it's great. And yeah.
He is kind of like that. Kind of like I ended up in an elevator with him at Flashback Weekend or something. And he was you know? Yeah. So because he's done so much, he can do whatever he wants.
Dude, he can be the biggest jerk in the world, and they're like, "You're a genius." Yeah, I love him. I think he's great. I find him entertaining. But that was there. I mean, there's tons of others, but that's my like go-to standard. I mean, one I watch constantly, and you know, if you've seen The Wretched, it's obvious I like Fright Night, but but there's a ton. I mean, Evil Dead 2 was hugely influential on us too, just because.
Did your dad work on that one too?
He did a tiny little bit on that one. There's like some portal photographic effects work. I think I'm not 100% for sure on this, but I think it's the stuff in the ending where the car gets kind of like sucked through the portal, and so does Ash. I think that's some of his stuff. Because he did photographic effects stuff. But that always was just because, I mean, I don't like to like tell my dad the one he worked on the most, the first one. I'm like, my favorite one's actually Evil Dead 2, but I just love that movie because I mean that's another one where like that movie is crazy, and the fact, I mean, they shot it for like I think $5 million back then. To me, that sounds like a lot of money, and it was even more money then. But for the things that they do and all the craziness, it's insane. I don't know how they pulled it off. And like, I actually randomly ran into the gaffer from that movie out here working on something else. And I was so excited when he told me he worked on Evil Dead 2. I'm like, oh, it's awesome. Was it so awesome? I was like this super fanboy about it. And he's like, ugh, I quit that job after like 10 days.
Oh, who was it?
I forgot his name. I only worked with him once. He was perfectly nice, but he said that like the whole Grip and Electric team quit after like a couple of weeks because they were miserable. And like, and it makes sense when you watch that movie because there's so much crazy stuff. I'm just like, wow, they probably just got pushed over the edge. So they had to, I think they even had, I could be wrong, but yeah, I think they even maybe replaced the DP at some point. I don't know.
I know Gary Jones. That's what he started with.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, he just said like, he's made it sound like that was the worst job of my life.
Some people's favorite movies like have the worst stories. And I was talking to Mike Mendez. We were interviewing him and I said, I love Grave Dancers. It's one of my very favorites.
Yeah.
In his face every time.
Yeah.
And then he told us the story, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I still love it.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's the funny thing, though, is if you work on a movie and it seems to be going really well, and you're like, oh, man, this ain't too bad, the movie's probably going to turn out to be crap. If you're having a really hard time struggling, but you're, like, fighting for it, then it's going to be a lot better movie. But if it's
Jaws, that's the perfect thing. Jaws had all that. You know?
Yeah, that movie, like, making that movie was a mess for them.
Yeah,
like,
it was.
through the nail for everything, rewriting the day before, all this stuff, and I'm like, that movie shouldn't work, but it does. Yeah.
Yes, it's always good to sacrifice for your art, right?
Yeah. That is the funny thing when you're shooting a movie. You get a little crazy after a while because you've just been making the movie and you start to think like there's nothing else exists but this, and you're like, yeah, let's just do that.
Well, people that work on studio stuff don't understand that.
No, yeah, I guess that's true because my experience of working on them, like sometimes I'd be like a production coordinator on stuff out here or a production assistant, and I would see some of the directors and some of the higher ups and how petty they were and how they were so comfortable, things were being so taken care of and stuff, and I was just kind of like, I've never had that, and honestly, you shouldn't be crying. It was insane. I was actually really shocked. It's like, and because True and I are used to like kind of getting our hands dirty in all the departments, and
we're all Michiganders, independent Michigan filmmakers.
Yeah. Well, they would joke because like when I was on set when I first moved out here, like when I was a PA, I'd try to help the Grip and Electric people. I'd start like rolling cable and like carrying stuff in and crashing lights and stuff, and I would get stopped all the time. Like, no, don't touch that. It's like, yeah, that's G&E only, blah, blah, blah. And there's some union stuff about that, but this was on independent stuff, so it didn't matter. But there's like this whole, if you're from Michigan, we're all like, yeah, let's pack up all the prop truck together. Let's put away all the G&E stuff together,
Yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. It's just different work ethic. So, yeah.
I helped somebody on an independent movie, and I helped the electrical department. It was a small budget, and I yelled at constantly for not rolling. I'd like just roll it up on my arm.
Yeah,
it was like a technique that I was like, all right, I'm out of here.
I never get that right. I try it. I just loop it.
Yeah, it's like you got to because it's the way it hangs on you got to hang it up properly, so you can't around. I'm like, all right.
Yeah. I have to relearn it every time because every time, like, I used to know how to do this. Okay, how do you do it? And then I teach myself. And then the next time I pick it up, I'm like, how the hell do I do this again?
Right.
Yeah.
Because your mind is so full of so many other things. It's like, I didn't have time to remember to learn that. So I'm going to have to relearn it every time because I have so many other things.
Yeah. I mean, it is smart on your movies to find really good people that know what they're doing. So you don't have to do all the jobs because then the movie does get better. But I'm glad that I know a lot more than I should and work so many different positions because then I at least understand how much work something is for somebody so that Drew and I are always very sympathetic with everybody knowing that, like, there's parts of the job that suck and there's like and I've worked on sets where there's producers and directors that don't know how long certain things take for people to do or why it's taking so long. And it's just like, because it's just hard. It's not easy, So I'm glad I know all that stuff. It's helpful. So.
It is helpful for producers too, because you're calmer on set and everything, so you're gonna get a lot more work.
Yeah. Hold on a second. I'm gonna close my window because somebody's mowing their lawn. Hold on a second.
You have questions you want to ask? So much.
Yeah, no, I we're rocking and rolling right now.
Yeah, should be better.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's
this has been awesome. When you guys are making a movie, we would love to come and do some, if we can on set, do some live things.
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah. As soon as we're all not going through the zombie apocalypse.
Anytime you have something you want to promote, give us a ring and we'll do an interview.
Okay, cool.
Stage, because that's what it's all about. Everyone's just like you said. Everyone's doing else's stuff, and we're working with who's Joseph Kelly also. He's
yeah.
So it's funny. Like I'm like working with meeting all these people, working with everyone. Melissa Rose, we're doing stuff with her too.
Oh, cool.
Awesome. So I went to the Beetle House before all this happened.
Yeah.
Cool little bar. And I met the creative director because whenever I go places, I'm just insistent on working all the time. I met the creative director and he said, I'm trying to start a horror industry night here.
Oh, cool.
So if things ever reopen up and get to normal, well, I want to do that and I want to invite everybody. So
cool. Yeah, I'm down for that. Yeah.
Why not?
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I think that
is that in Hollywood or is that the Reseda one? Or is that
in
Hollywood? Okay.
Yeah. So it's fun. It's the Tim Burton themed one. They have one in New York and one here. So
cool. Okay. I'm totally down for that.
So it's like Beetlejuice and they got all kinds of characters. It was really cool. I'll let you know as soon as, and also the blast from the past, the woman that runs it, Rebecca McKendry. She is my soon-to-be daughter-in-law's teacher at USC.
Okay.
She's there for directing.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, she after the first week she was there, they asked her to work the Academy Awards security.
Yeah.
So she's 4 foot something and she's security. But she's fierce. She's like a little Wolverine. So
yeah. I love those short, fierce people. We had a production assistant on this movie, and like she was a boss, man. I was always like, put Erica on that because it'll get done.
She's trying to be the TA for Rebecca next semester.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so cool.
Still directing like Lifetime movies. She does horror stuff for like she comes in and helps people make scenes scarier and stuff.
Yeah. How have I not run into you out here? This is so weird.
I did. I saw you at the Screen Fest when I.
That's right. You saw me at Screen Fest. I just didn't connect. I'm like, how am I not seeing you more though? Because I see everybody all the time. It's so weird. Yeah.
I'm here with my 11-year-old son. My other boys are older, but
okay.
I'm with so whenever I bring him everywhere. So.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy about.
Y'all get coffee, anyways, or something. Yeah. So yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because I'll just call everyone like saying, "Who can meet us? Let's just go." Like Melissa and Tiffany, they'll all be there in a second.
Yeah.
Are you still in the Valley? Are you still on the Valley side? You said, right?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm in Los Feliz.
Oh, okay.
And Drew's in like Eagle Rock, Glassell Park area. So he's really.
Did you guys used to live in Studio City?
I used to live in Glendale forever with Drew.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, it was crazy. The same apartment for like 12 years. I don't know. Something like that.
Then he went and got married, right?
Drew got married. Yes. Drew got married. And then, the crazy part is we had this crappy old apartment in Glendale. And it's a weird story, but it was like beat up forever. We all lived in it. We all partied and played beer pong in it too much, all this stuff. Yeah. But like, it just became like that somebody from Michigan, like one of the old filmmaking buddies would always live there. And finally, the last guy moved out of it like 8 months ago. And like, we've had it the whole time we've been out here. And he invited us all over to have a last beer pong party in the old apartment. And I hadn't been there in years. And I walked in, it was painted the same. All the same furniture was in there. It was dirty, just like it was always dirty. And I was just like, it was insane. And the best part about it is my friend, he was living in this crappy Glendale apartment and he had a TV show on Hulu he had created. And I was like it's on Hulu, a full season, a good show. And like, I was like, how do you still live here?
Because he's smart, saving money because
Saved a lot of money. He did. He was smart. And now he's got a nice place. Yeah, now he's got a nice place. But it just cracked me up. But it was a great like last hurrah. So yeah.
Great. Thanks so much for your time. Do you have any questions, Mr. Lewis?
No, I'm just looking forward to, you know, that the werewolf movie when you guys finally start production on that, which I don't know what your time frame is, but yeah, we'd like to check in. And
Dr. Fauci's frame time.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Dr. Fauci.
I love Dr. Fauci too. He's the guy I listen to. So
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I appreciate you coming on and doing this with us, and we'll definitely circle back around.
Yeah, tell your brother that we want him on the next one if he can.
I will. I'll make sure he's on the next one with me and stuff. But it was good seeing you guys.
And, what do you want to promote for your movie? Where do you want people to
The Wretched is out today in drive-ins across the country. We're actually in the Mission Tiki drive-in out here in California, it's about 30 miles from here. We're going to go tonight, actually. We're all going to the first showing. Playing this whole week, I think, maybe longer, we'll see. And then it's also on VOD and all digital platforms today, like iTunes, Amazon, PlayStation Store, Xbox, all that stuff, all the normal stuff. So,
Awesome. Yeah. IFC Midnight, right?
IFC Midnight, yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Any website you want us to put up?
Best thing to go to about the movie, it's just called www.wretchedmovie.com.
All right.
One more time, where is it showing tonight?
At the Mission Tiki Drive-In in Montclair, California. It's about 30 miles from Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Drive-ins are still open because it's kind of like the only safe way to watch a movie. I mean, they're practicing social distancing and they're careful and all that stuff. But I guess the drive-in's been packed. Like my buddies went and saw Raiders of the Lost Ark there last week.
I wish I would have gone too. I would love to do that because I need to get out of the house.
Yeah, it's like, well, it's funny. I told everybody, I'm like, and even my friends who don't like horror movies, I'm like, my movie's in a drive-in. And they're like, I just want to go somewhere. I don't care. I don't like horror, but I'll go see it. Anyway, so.
Yeah.
Friends that don't like horror, what's with you?
I know. I don't get it. You know what's funny? It's usually guys. They're the biggest wimps about horror.
I know,
Like, I don't like getting scared. It's like, all the women are like, I love horror. I'm like, yeah, I love horror too. I don't get
Oh, it's so funny. That's great.
Perfect.
But girls, my heart. So we're gonna do. Actually, we want to do some kind of horror trivia on here with like some of the people we've interviewed.
Oh, I'm down for that.
Do that. So yeah, we'll ask Mike and a couple other people to see if they'll do that.
I've been totally down for that. I worked at Thomas Video way too long, so I know too much.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Remember, I think you contacted after Biker Zombies from Detroit.
Yeah.
That was my very first. Yeah.
I had a phone call come in. That's what you said.
But no, cool. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, guys.
We'll be in touch.
Awesome, dude.
Maybe we'll try to put part of this clip up later today.
Okay.
Piece of it, Jim, just so that we could say where it's at.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Thank you, guys.
Other than that, it'll be in like a week or so.
Okay.
All right, cool.
Stay safe, guys. I'll see you soon.
Yeah. Cheers. Thank you again.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.